Hey everybody, JBR from JBR channel, and as you all know, I am a huge Fire Emblem fan. That means one of two things about me. One, I love talking about Fire Emblem, obviously, especially when a new game like Fire Emblem Engage has been out for a little while. And two, I love shitting out other people's opinions online in the safety of my own house in the internet. So, on the internet. So, today I'm going to be reacting to a Fire Emblem tier list that I found by one of these little like gamer magazines, and these are always, a bit of innocent fun, but it's also fun to make fun of them because they're oftentimes a little not truthful about what's actually good or not. Like, yeah, they know that Alear is a good character, that's pretty obvious, but a lot of these we'll talk about. There's going to be obvious spoilers for Fire Emblem Engage, so if you don't want to know characters that are about to get recruited and stuff like that, this is probably not the best video for you at the moment, but I have a live stream series if you want to watch that instead, so that'll be linked in the description below. So one thing I'm noticing about this tier list is how they do their tier list. S are the absolute best, A is looking like really good characters for filling in the gaps, as they say. B tier are characters you can use, but they're a little harder, but if you like them, use them. And C tier is what they call bad character territory. And to prove that this list does not know really what they're talking about, they have C Doll as the third worst character in the game. Which, if you've ever played a Fire Emblem game before, you know that dancers are one of the best classes in the game. And we'll talk about that. But yeah, this... This list is a little interesting. This is a little interesting. There's some other people in crazy fucking categories too, so I honestly don't even know where to start with this list. I guess we'll just start from the top going down. So there's one character missing on this list, but let's just look at the S tier for now. So we got Alear, Anna, Brunette, Chloe, Fogado. I'm really bad with these names. Just give me some slack. The game like just came out. And Mavier. So there's a lot I already dislike about this tier list. The only one on here that I think should 100% stay in S tier is Alear. Alear is fantastic. Best user of the Marth ring, which when you get to level 10 Bond, you can use the Mercurius, which is like double EXP and like double ESP, something like that. So Alear can get crazy boosted EXP super fast since he's stuck with the Marth ring for like the first like 3 chapters. You can't even give it to anyone else. So you're gonna get that bond rank pretty high and get Alear's level pretty high super fast. Which means you can early promote him. He's gonna be one of your strongest units for maddening mode and anything else. It's just super easy to use Alear. So he's an easy S tier, or they're easy S tier. Next we got Anna. Which, this is the pinnacle of a game journalist tier list, is putting a character like Anna here. So let's talk about her. Anna in this game, in my opinion, is C tier at best. Now don't flame me in the comment section, okay? I have a reason for thinking this. The biggest offender of Anna that people seem to give is that her base magic growth is 50. Which, being in a fighter class, you want to reclass her out of that, put her into a mage class, and then she'll be really good. The problem is her base magic is 2. So she's not starting off with a lot of magic. Now maybe super long term, you might be able to turn Anna into a really good mage, probably your best. But if we assume maddening mode or hard mode, that's going to take a lot of effort to get there. So I can't really put her in S tier because you have to level her up to 10, reclass her into a mage class, and then start working on her magic, her godlike magic from there, which to me doesn't scream an S tier character. The reason I say C tier is because she's really bad, but she does have that potential, so that's why I would personally put her in C tier. S tier is way too high for me. Oh my god. The next character doesn't... I don't know what the argument is, right? Alear makes sense. Alear makes sense, right? Anna makes sense. I can see the argument. Brunette makes no sense. His personal skills ass. His stats are actually pretty good for when you get him in the game. I think that stretch in the, I'm forgetting the name, the Sand Country. A lot of those units are really good and come with good stats for when you get them. Brunette is like okay. He has decent quality stats for like a filler unit, but as an S tier, a must use. No. There's better characters that fill his niche. His niche is just to be, one of your good combat units, and I think you have plenty of time to train up a stronger unit by then, so I don't see this one at all. Chloe is an example of one of those units that you can train up. I think Chloe, I don't know if I'd put her all the way in S. I think she's more of like a B tier with an A ceiling. I think B or C floor. I'd probably put her in like high B tier personally. She has really good stats. She has really good growth. I think if you reclass her into the Wyvern, she'll probably be one of the best units in the game because her growths are just really good. Her bases are really good. She has a lot of time to build up her SP with the Micaiah ring before you lose that. So I think Chloe could be a pretty good character. I'm not mad at this one. These names are so hard. Fogado. I'm so sorry. Again, I don't see S tier. I think his personal skill is a little whack. But I can't deny that he's a fantastic unit. He's gonna be your best archer, if not your second best. He's gonna be fantastic. I think more times than not, I'd say in any Fire Emblem game, he'd be a fantastic. Just throw him in the squad. He'll be really good. The problem is that you still have to use a Master Seal on him, even though he's such a late character. I think his SP is good. I think it starts at 1,000 or 1,200. The problem with that, although, is I think the gap between him and when you get the Sigurd ring is a little big. I like the characters a lot before you lose all the rings. I like a lot of those characters a lot more than the rest of the cast for the reasons that you can get 1,000 SP super fast and get the canter, the 2-move cancel after attacking. I think that'd be really good for Fogado, but you don't get that for a little bit in the game. But I think once you get that, he's a fantastic unit, and especially with the Sigurd ring, he can move really fucking far and blow something up real quick. So I think he's really good ring user. I'd probably put him in A tier. I don't know about S tier, but yeah. And the last one is Mavier. As someone who's been playing Maddening mode, Mavier fucking blows. It's such a letdown. I think this tier list has to be based on like easy mode or whatever, normal mode, whatever. I don't even play that mode, but Mavier on Maddening is just such a letdown. His stats are just like too low in just about any area. I think he's a solid filler unit because he does start off, you just get him for free. He can use B rank staffs. He can use some rings to be pretty strong. But an S tier character, when you only have him for, what is it, 5 chapters if you have this guy, he's not that great. The chapter he comes in can't use the rings. The chapter you go into next is the chapter where all the rings are all spread out, so you have to rush over and grab the ring. So that's 2 chapters out of his 5 that he can't even use rings for most of it. You can get him a ring during his second chapter, but he only has 3 chapters where you can actually give him a ring to start off. So I don't know if I can put him in S tier. I think he's B ceiling, but not a fantastic unit at all. The next set of characters is much better than their S tier. Okay, we have a lot of good characters here. So first we have Rosado. Again, I'm sorry with the pronunciations. The game just came out. Please cut me some slack. But I don't know if I agree with them being the top of the list here. Definitely not. But out of all the characters that you get towards the end of the game that you just get for free that have really good stats, Rosado is one of the best. They come with the Erica Ephraim ring in their join chapter, so you can already get that boosted. I think they're honestly one of the best users of that ring because they're not your top unit, but for 0 investment, you just get them. They build that bond super fast with the Erica Ephraim ring, and they're a good user of it because they're just a solid filler combat unit. And I say like a really good filler. Like if your team is a little shit, you lost a couple of units in a couple of chapters, throw them in. They're gonna be like your 4th or 5th, 3rd maybe best character. I hope they're not your 2nd best or you're struggling a little bit on Maddening mode, but you can definitely get them going super fast. I think they're one of the best combat units and a really good filler replacement unit. So like them a lot. Pandreo is also a unit I think has a lot of potential. I think their stats are really good and they have one of the best personal skills. Let me just check what that is real quick. I think they're really good at just a, you know, nice little staff character. Their personal is really good, grants a bonus to hit and more importantly avoid 3 times the number of allies and foes within 3 spaces. This is definitely not gonna be like a good Celica ring user. Their magic isn't that high, but I think it's just like a throw them in. They're a really good staff user for 0 in like you don't have to invest in them at all. And I think if you promote them into, was it High Priest? I think that is a Q Adept class. No, it's a mystical class. Okay. I think you might have to go a little bit out of your way to like fully unlock their potential to be a great staff unit. The reason why I do really like some of the staff units that you get in this game is because not only can they heal, but if there's a turn you don't really need that, they can eat the first hit that your unit is going to face if you know, set up your units properly. The fact that they're in the mystical class is kind of bad, but they're easy to promote. They'll be a pretty fast unit, all things considered. And the so because of the sage class is really good with speed and all that stuff. Oh, if you see, okay, never mind, that's the wrong class. But anyways, I was thinking of Mage Knight, who gets like +5 if the enemy can't attack back, something like that. But they're a pretty good unit. I think they're just really good at dodging and just being a dodge tank that can use a staff. Res is good, but I think they're a little too high on this list. I'd put them like B tier max, but I think they're a decent character. All the other characters in this list in A tier definitely belong here for sure. I think Kagetsu is an amazing unit, just a sword master that you get halfway through the game. Fucking amazing stats, really good. One of the best units of just like some of the rings you get in that point, like the Lin ring is pretty good on them. Just like keep attacking things, shooting from far. I think Kagetsu is one of the best like zero investment units. I feel like on 0% gross, if somebody does that eventually, Kagetsu is gonna be really fucking good. And on matting mode, those stats are nice. They're just really good. It's pretty easy for Kagetsu to double people, do a fuck ton of damage, and be a good dodge tank. I think the only thing that kind of sucks with Kagetsu is you get them right as you lose the Marth ring, and they'd be a lot better with the Marth ring, but I think they're a good user of some of the other rings you get. So really good, solid, low A tier character for me. Tamara is great. She has a lot of defense. She can take hits. She can deal damage. One of the best users of the Ike ring, and you know, there's a lot of people who use the Ike ring, but I think she's one of the best. So I think she definitely belongs in here. Same with Rosado. She's just a great. You get them, they're fucking amazing. Good A tier character. Alfred, I think, besides Alir, out of the like initial starting cast of characters that you get in like the first 7 chapters, I'd say, until you get to like Bromain, Brodia, that's what it's called. I fucking love that name, by the way. Brodia is great. I think once you get to Brodia, out of all the cast of characters you have, besides Alir, I think Alfred is easily the unit you want to be training up the most. Get them SP so they can get Canter. Keep them doing a shitload of damage because they can fully utilize the momentum skill from Sigurd, which is each tile you move, you do 1 more damage. I'm pretty sure that is how it works. So one of the best units of that ring. I also will make a video on the best pairings, I think, best unit for each ring. I think Alfred in his promoted class, which by the way is super easy to get because who else are you really going to train? Who's going to be doing a shit ton of damage? In my list of the best units for each ring, I have Alfred as the best user of the Roy ring. The Roy ring, if you're a cavalry unit, you gain +1 movement. And I think out of anybody who's going to be just moving far, hitting things, and needs a little bit of help with that endure skill from Roy, I think Alfred is the fantastic best unit for that. So I think Alfred is a solid A, if not S tier character, because out of all the starting units, besides maybe, I think I'm high on Yunaka as well, but I think those 3 are like the best train units early on that can actually withstand the rest of the game, because there's a lot of characters in this game like Rosada, Tamara, who just come in and are probably replacing your old guys because they weren't good enough to get a lot of EXP, and the new units are just simply better. So big fan of them. Celine, I think is really good. I don't think I'd put them all the way in A tier though. I'm slowly becoming, day by day as I look more into Celine, I'm becoming more of a hater of her. I think for the first 11 chapters, they're really good. They get kind of carried by the Celica ring, but hey, they're a really fantastic user of it because other than her, you're going to use Clan, and she's just better initially with it. The problem with Celine, and I will show you real quick. Yeah, the problem with Celine, as you can see here, is her growths actually aren't that great. I think they're serviceable, but her base magic is kind of low. Her magic growth is kind of low, kind of gets carried by class. I think with class growth involved, she has a 40% magic growth, which when you're taking a unit that you get in chapter 3 with 9 base magic and trying to use them the entire game, because that's what you'd hope to use with Saline, she seems like one of those units. I think her magic is a little lower than you would hope later on, and I think she's relying a little too much on Ignis for extra damage. Her Ignis skill is great though, can't deny that. If you can somehow get her a lot of dex and that activates a lot, definitely one of your best skills for sure. It does a fuck ton of damage, but it's basically 1.5 damage, but it's got a % chance to activate, and her dex is okay. 9 base, 30% growth. She'll probably have, like, depending on the ring, somewhere between like a 20 and 30% chance to activate that for late game. So if that's what you want to rely on for her, go ahead. But I'm starting to become less and less a fan of her. But I think early on she's a fantastic unit, so I think B is fair for her. I'd probably put her A though. I think you don't want to use her the entire game, but early on she's fantastic. Next we have B tier. We start off at the top with Boucheron. Boucheron is a character I think I need more time to cook with, because it's a little bit too early for Boucheron. Oh man. Yeah, the problem with Boucheron is his growths kind of suck. 20% strength growth. I think with class bases, class growth involved, that's like a 45% chance. It's not that big of a deal because Berserker gives you a lot of strength, and if you forge up some weapons, the axes scale pretty amazingly. I was gonna say pretty well. They scale fantastically when it comes to might, and especially if you put like what are they called, engagements or whatever on the weapons, especially like the Ike one, you can do a fuck ton of damage. His speed is actually really good. I think that's the thing I like the most about Boucheron. But other than his HP, I think he's just kind of lacking for a unit that you get so early. I think if his bases were a little higher, I'd like him more. Like the 7 speed, I don't think I've ever seen Boucheron double anything in the multiple playthroughs that I've been watching of Engage. Maybe you can get there, but on Maddening, I think it's gonna be tough. I do think though that if you give him the Lin ring, he'd be fantastic, and if you give him the Ike ring, he'd be fantastic. But it's gonna take some work, and you're definitely gonna have to give him some of the rings that you might want to other people. But I think Boucheron is a really good user of the Lin ring. If you can get him kills, he'll get like 10 extra speed, so and his speed growth isn't that bad. So I think Boucheron was a solid B tier. I actually agree with him on this tier list. I don't know if I put him top of the list. I don't know if they're actually ranked in the list, but I don't know, because it's not based on recruitment. Because next we got Hortensia, who I think is probably the best staff unit in the game. Yeah, easily the best staff unit in the game. You do have to waste some master skill on her. I wish she just started promoted, but she is a flyer class who has S rank staffs. And that's important because with the Micaiah ring involved, if you're a flyer unit, which she is, with S rank staffs, you get +5 range on all of your staffs and all types of other buffs with staffs. I think Hortensia is easily the best staff unit. You do get her kind of late, but you still get her for like, you get like 12 chapters out of her. So she's just like a little bit less than half of the game. So easily going to be your best staff unit. All it takes is a Master Seal, which any other staff unit should probably use that anyways. S tier, not S tier. She has S rank tomes, the +5 range, best user of the Micaiah ring, because when it comes to anything outside of using staves, she's not very good. I think B tier is fine. I'd maybe put her A tier. I think long term, she might be one of the best users, especially for like warp and stuff like that. If you just get her to 1000 SP, which she might start out with, just get her Canter plus, get her Canter 2 or 3 from Sigurd, because you get that like 2 or 3 chapters after you recruit Hortensia. Have her use the Micaiah ring when you get that, like 4 chapters after you get her. She'll be your best staff unit. So I think B tier is fine. I think as the metagame progresses, I think I might move her to A tier, but I'm fine keeping her in B tier. So I agree with this as well. Ivy is next. Interesting they put her B tier. Putting Ivy there is kind of disrespectful. In B tier, I guess it's fine. I'd probably put her B tier, ceiling A, or A ceiling, probably B floor. She's a flying magic unit with a decent amount of speed. Her speed is actually her best thing. Her magic is a little low, but it's higher than Saline. And I like her a lot for the Celica ring late game. I think the Lin ring actually surprisingly is really good on her because you can get her doubling. She's gonna do a lot of damage as a magic unit. What I love the most about her is that not only is she just a fantastic just thrower in the team, like filler unit, she's magic, pretty speedy, love that, flyer as well. But she also has B rank stabs, which I like that a lot because if you don't need her for damage, which you probably do want her for damage, she's really good. Maybe I'm biased. She's hot, okay? I'm a little biased. But I think she's a fantastic unit. Only thing I don't like is a personal skill. But I think it also might be good for bosses. I think there will be some fun stuff we can do with Ivy progressing. Only thing that sucks about her is her availability is kind of weird. You get her when you only have 2 rings, which is if you got her the chapter before, it wouldn't make sense for the story. But if you did get her right before you lost all the rings, you could get her some amazing skills that she'd love, because it's going to be about like 10 chapters until you get most of those rings that you'd want those skills on again. So I think her recruitment is a little awkward, but just like with Kagetsu, but she's a fantastic unit. Just promote her right away, slap her in your team. She's going to be fucking amazing, doing a lot of damage. I like Ivy a lot. I'd probably put her A tier, at least early on. I don't think anybody's... I think, especially this in normal mode tier list, she's just slap her in, she's going to be amazing. Her durability isn't that great, but actually it's kind of sneaky good. She has sneaky good defense, so I'll put her in A tier. I think she's one of the better combat units in this game, so use her. Oh god, next we have Marin. Bro, you want to talk about a unit that you just get and slap immediately into the team? Marin is one of those units. Her strength looks pretty bad, and it is, with the stat growths involved. She has a 30%, which isn't that bad, but she just has a ton of speed. She's sneaky tanky a little bit, but I just think she's in one of the best classes right away, which really helps. I think her personal skill that inflicts -2 move on a foe has some fun play as well. I think she's just a really good, like you get her in chapter 13, which is exactly halfway through the game, and I think her bases are just really good. I don't know how well she scales till the end. I haven't tried her out on Maddening for that amount of time, but I think for at least like 7 chapters, she's gonna be one of your best combat units for sure, for minimal effort. How I see this game's metagame progressing is like train Alir, Alfred, and as you go, just keep picking up people. And a lot of the people that you get in the Desert Kingdom are really good stats and stuff like that. So I think a lot of the metagame will be just like throwing some of those units in as well. And I think she's also one of those best units, along with her partner in crime, whose name's forgetting me. Yeah, I think all 3 of the units you get in that chapter are really good. They actually have Panette, if that's how you say her name, as the worst unit in the game, which is absolutely not true. She's really good. You can instantly no, she already is promoted, but she's just fucking fantastic. Hits strong, decently tanky. The best thing about her is her HP is really high. I think she's the best unit of the Ike ring, so I'd probably put her C tier, and lowest character in the game is extremely disrespectful. But yeah, I think Marin and her are solid B tier units, maybe A, but I think B is fine for them. Next is Yunaka. Yunaka has some really good stats, one of the best dodge tanks. I think the problem with her is once you lose your initial set of rings, she's not as good anymore. She's definitely a really good dodge tank, and with Marth, even better. I do think there's probably some fun stuff you can do with crit builds for Yunaka, but I think B tier is fine. I'd probably put her A tier though, because I'm biased. I like her a lot, and I think she has decent potential. Next is Lewis. Lewis is a interesting unit. I think a lot of people right now are putting Lewis as like damn near S tier, and right now I have him at like middle to high A tier. I think Lewis is really, really good. Oh my god, like with the Sigurd ring, he's fucking amazing, a great tank. He can just move like 10 tiles, bop a mage real quick, and then because you get plus 10 damage from Sigurd as well eventually. He can go somewhere, bop a mage, and then he can't be broken, so he's just gonna do some damage that you can then by the second turn you can rush in with your other units, stuff like that. I think he's also one of the best units of the Ike ring, as well as If you put him into Sword General, I think he's one of the best of the Roy Ring as well. He's very much a unit that is a lot better with rings. Without rings, I don't think Lewis is that good. So it's hard for me to put him all the way in S tier. But I think his stats and the rings that you get with Lewis are really good. The stretch between losing all of your rings and getting the Ike ring, beat it until chapter 14. So that's only like 3 chapters. But I think in those 3 chapters, Lewis isn't your best unit. But I think when you get the Ike ring, he'll be really good again. Or once you get the Sigurd ring back, which is not for a while. So I think that's the only thing stopping me from S tier. And I do think that Alfred might be better long term, and you might want to prioritize that bond with Sigurd on him as well. So we'll see how the metagame develops. But I think Lewis and Alfred are 2 units that can go back and forth on which one you decide to use long term. I have seen some people go Wolf Knight Lewis, which is very interesting. I actually like that a lot. It patches up his speed, and then he's surprisingly one of the best. Like, he actually is surprisingly really good res, and his defense is obviously really good. Don't know how good Wolf Knight is on Maddening mode, but I know on hard mode, my friend Afalo is kind of being carried by that. So Lewis is a fun unit. I think definitely A tier for sure. Oh my goodness, he's good. Okay, next they have on the list in B tier, I think it was, they have Gold Mary. I feel like if there's anybody who I'm gonna put as a C tier unit in this game, because there's a lot of good units, I think it's her. I don't know what it is about her stats, but they're just like, they're good, but they're awkward. I think she doesn't have a good showing on the initial chapter, but maybe once you give her a ring, she'll be pretty good. I think her stats are decent enough, but I just don't see her being one of the best units. I think her personal skill is decent. Minus 20 hit on male foes. There might be some interesting play there. But I think with the rings you have when you get her, you definitely prefer those rings on other people. I think with the Lin ring, she'd probably be pretty good. She is one of the best, like, just plug in units. Throw the Lucina ring. That's not saying much. The Lucina ring kind of sucks, but I think she's one of the best units for that. So I think if shit out of luck with units, I think she's a, you know, B tier character. But if not, I think high C. I don't know. Maybe I'm a little too harsh on her. I gotta play around with her for sure, but her speed and defense are really good. So there's definitely some fun stuff you can do with her. Her HP is what bothers me. I think it's a little low, but we'll see moving forward for her. I do like her, but not as much as other unit. And then Lapis is next. So if you thought I was a little harsh to Gold Mary, Lapis joins like 7 chapters earlier with really low stats and everything that is not speed. Her speed is really good. So there might be some fun stuff you can do there, but I'm not a huge fan. I think she is good at just being like, I think what's great about her is her personal skill. She'll probably, as a backup unit, she'll probably be around people a lot. I think you can get her some Marth skills really fast, and that might make her a lot better than Gold Mary, but I'm kind of like back and forth on them for utility. They're both kind of the same class. I like Gold Mary's stats a lot better because there's no way in hell Lapis is going to have 20 defense by the time you get to Gold Mary, and her strength is very bad, only at 25. So I kind of struggle to see Lapis being good, but I do like that she starts at level 10. She might be a decent, promote her early on to Swordmaster, throw the Marth ring on her and have her do some cool stuff. The SP she comes with isn't bad either, so you can maybe play around with Mercurius as well. I just don't like that strength. The strength and defense are really bad, but I think I'll put her, I think B tier is fine for her, only if you're going to early promote her, but if not, I think she's a C tier, maybe D tier character, although one of the best designs in the game. So I like Lapis as a character. As a unit, not so much. I'm going to put her down to C tier, and I almost forgot to talk about Elcrest, who I think is one of the, I think he's a definition of a, I think if I was to put a character as a B tier to like label the whole tier, I think it would be Alcrest. All right, let's talk about everything that's good about Alcrest, right? Yeah, with class growth involved, because he's a Lord character. He has 50 strength. Boom, that's really good. Speed, really good. Defense, kind of low at 8, but he can take a hit if you get good speed level ups. He can take one hit, which is kind of nice for a character like him, and he actually has surprisingly high speed. He's probably one of the best units of the Lin Ring. I don't know how I feel about putting the Lin Ring on actual archers. It is really good for +5 range, but it's already so massive that I think using the speed from Lin on a different character, but that's for another video. Alcris is just a really solid archer. You usually want at least one archer character in here, if not 2 when you get Fodago. I do like Fodago a little bit better because of his class, but I do also like Alcris. I think his strength is pretty good at 11 starting off, and it should always be around 14 if you are playing a little bit optimal. If someone within 2 spaces, which is not that hard since he's going to be an archer right behind people that are taking hits, if they're attacked, he gains +3 strength for 1 turn, which is pretty easy to set up for an extra +3 strength. I think this is probably the best personal skill in the game besides maybe Alir's. So I'm high on Alcris. I think maybe A tier for him, but I think he's probably the definition of a B tier. I think him and Eti can go either way, because Eti's strength is a little bit better. I have to check with class growth, but I know her base is like, I think it's like 8 or 9, and you can definitely get her a couple levels by the time you get Alcris. But Alcris has so much availability, so easy to give him like any of the classes from any ring as soon as you get them, because there's so much time to give him SP, and he joins before you lose all the rings. So I think him and Eti, I'd probably put around, like, you can go either way with them. We'll see long term who I like better. At the moment, I'm going to say Alcris is better because of the class growth, and his personal skill is really good. I like him a lot. I think Alcris is a solid B, if not A tier character. So we start off with the list being like, yes, I hate all of these except for Alir. A tier, I was a little finicky. I didn't like some of them, liked a lot of them. B tier was okay because it's just the middle of the road. Most characters in this game, I think, are B tier. I think C tier is being a little offensive to the characters. But there are some characters I think do suck, and I think some of these should be D tier. They don't have anybody in D tier, which is fair, but some of these characters are not great. But some of these characters are really good. I do not agree with Diamond being in C tier at all. I think out of any character for the level that they join at, I think Diamond has some of the best bases in this game. 13 strength, 13 speed, 13 dex at chapter 8, I think it is when you get him. Comes with the Roy ring, so you can start building that a little bit. He comes with a solid amount of SP. I think it's like 700, so you only need to get that 300 in between the chapters. Yeah, you get like 2 or 3 chapters to build that up, so it's not that hard to get him there. You do kind of have to focus him, so I think the first chapter you get him in, honestly, probably a good idea to give him the Micaiah ring and just keep spamming every 3 turns to try and get that SP boosted up by 300, which actually isn't that much. So giving him the Marth ring to keep him as a really good, dodgy, fast, hard-hitting unit is probably really good. Or giving him the Micaiah ring so he can get that 300 extra SP. And then he's already at promotion level. He's one of the best units for some of the skills. Lucina, there's no one else to really slap that on, so I think I'd probably throw that on him at any point. Once you only have Lucina or Lin Ring, I think he's one of the better units for that. I like Lucina on backup units. Gives them a bit, just makes them slightly better. He's one of the best units of the Roy ring, one of the best units for the Ike ring, probably. He does have Soul, which is going to keep his health boosting up. Ike is good at making sure you don't take that much damage. You're going to keep going up and down. Don't think he's going to be that great as a Vantage tank unless you get him out of his promoted class. But let's look at these growth rates. So 30 isn't that great until you remember that, like we talked about with Alcris, that he's up to 50 with his non-promoted class, by the way. Let me look at his promoted one. Okay, let me try to quick get this into perspective, how good his bases are, because I think more important than anything in Fire Emblem is your base stats, alongside if you have some of the best growths in the game. So with his starting Lord class, if the information is correct, 50 strength, 60 speed, I think that is 50 defense, and what's crazy is he has a 90% HP growth, and I think that's the only problem with Diamond's bases is that his HP, just kidding, it's really fucking good as well. Diamond is a great character. I can't believe they put him in C tier. I think he's probably one of the best combat units. Only thing is it might take a master seal and then a second seal, but man, I can't wait to play around on Maddening mode more with Diamond, just throwing him into random classes. I think he's the best user of probably the Ike ring and probably the Lin ring. I haven't seen many people talk about this, but I think him with the Lin ring is nasty as fuck. Every time you get a kill with Lin already boosts your speed, and his speed is really good. And he's really fucking strong. So you just keep boosting that speed even higher. He's gonna be one of the speediest units, doubling things for a ton of damage. Because let me remind you, his base stats, and you can promote him right away, his base stats before promoting are 13, and he has a 50% growth. Really fucking good. He should not be in C tier. He should be an A. I think damn near Diamond should be an S tier character as the meta devolves. Quote me on that shit. Diamond is my fucking boy. Now I am biased because he's my favorite character. I will say that out loud. But I think I've laid out all the information on why Diamond should be a fucking A tier character. He's great, okay? I'm getting passionate. He should not be a C tier. This list has officially made me angry. Nothing has made me angry until seeing Diamond in bottom tier. That is blasphemous, goddammit. Deep breaths. It's just a weird game article tier list. It's not that big of a deal. None of the characters after this I have too big of an opinion on. Other than Jade, I think Jade is a little underrated. I think Jade has some fantastic base stats for when you get her. Her growth rates are actually some of, like, you gotta realize how influential class growths are in this game. I think her stat growths are amazing. I think she will end up being one of the sneaky best combat units in this game as the meta progresses. I think she's fantastic. 33 HP is really good. 14 strength is crazy. If you reclass her into a class that has a ton of speed, she's going to be a crazy bulky unit and a ton of speed. I think classic Fire Emblem, reclass someone into a Wyvern Knight, they're going to be one of your best units. I think Jade going towards Wyvern Knight, working towards that, which shouldn't be that hard, by the way, because you get her right before the chapter where you lose all the rings. I don't know what her starting SP is. I don't think it's 1,000, so it might be a bit tricky. You might have to do a skirmish in order to get her to be able to use those skills, because she comes right before the chapter where you lose the rings. So I think that's the only downside about her. If she came like a chapter earlier, ooh, I think she'd be one of the best combat units in the game. But even still, I think with reclassing, she'll be one of the best units in the game. So don't sleep on Jade. Don't sleep on Jade. Her and Diamond, I think, have crazy long-term potential out of all of the units. Crazy good base stats. Keep using them for the rest of the game. I think next time I play Maddening mode on stream, I'm gonna try out Jade. I think she could be a fantastic unit alongside Diamond, who come in back-to-back chapters and just have fantastic bases, and not as good as Diamond, but her stat growths are so balanced across the board that whatever class you put her into, she's gonna excel at and have that base 18 defense and 40% defense. So whether you keep her in Armor Knight, I think she's gonna be one of the best Armor Knights in this game. Obviously has some competition with Louis. Love Louis, but she might end up being better than Louis just because Louis starts at a lower level, lot less SP, and you do have to train him up a little bit. I think Louis, if you train him, will be better, but I think long-term development being super optimal, I think Alir, Alfred, and then you pick up Alchrist, Diamond, and Jade will be your best physical units throughout like the entire game. I think they'll all scale fantastically. So I think Jade might be a sneaky, amazing long-term unit. All that will take is a Master Seal and a second seal, and I think she'll be pretty good. And you know what? Out of all of the fucking skills in the Fire Emblem series, I don't think meditation is the worst, but it's kind of a meme, but it's something. Who knows if you're going against a mage, you die by 1 HP. Hey, use that personal skill and you might live, so who knows? That might be a better skill than you give credit for. But yeah, I love Jade a lot. I think she should be in B tier, definitely not in C tier. Just a little bit of work, I will say that. That's why she can't be an A or S yet, but I see a lot of long-term potential with Jade. Other than that, I'm not really too offended on anything else on this list. I think on non-maddening mode, Sapphire and Linden are decent units. I think Sapphire might be a little underrated right now. She starts with a lot of SP and you get her once you have most of the rings back. So you can kind of just snap any fucking skill you want on her for the most part. At least many of the good ones, including Sigurd for the free. So I think Sapphire might be a little underrated, but her stats definitely aren't the greatest, but I think she's a fantastic filler unit. Linden is okay if you haven't been training up Citrine, who I think is probably going to be the best mage, best Celica ring user in the game probably. I think Linden is a decently fine serviceable replacement for Celine and Citrine if you didn't use them long term. I think he's okay, but not great. Fram and Jean I think are probably right now the two lowest characters in the game for me, but I cannot deny that the class that they come in, especially early game before you can get people into, you know, the classes you really want, flyers, before you do that, the taking the first hit is really, really good. So I can't deny that Fram has a decent amount of utility there. Jean as well, because it's just like Jean just gonna sit there, get some decent levels. He has potential to be a really good mage, although I do think Ivy and Citrine are better. He does have that potential. Comes really early, comes when you get the Celica ring. Pretty easy to train him up. Not a huge fan of Jean, but I don't hate him at all. But I think Fram and Jean are really good, at least super early on when you do kind of need them. So I do want to give them some credit as B tier units. But are you going to be using Fram the entire game? Probably not. Are you going to be using Jean the entire game? Probably not. But if you use them as one of the Micaiah ring users, maybe you can get them going. All you have to do is eventually get them to level 10 and then have them be a promoted unit who can use a ton of staffs and tank hits. So they're not bad. I think at least one of them should probably be in B tier. I think Jean is probably a little bit better. But Fram isn't bad as well. So we'll see. We'll see. I think they're good staff units who can take a hit for one of your allies. So can't be too mad at it. Zelkov, I think, is a little underrated. He's kind of like Yunaka for me. You know, he's just a pretty good fucking dodge tank. And he's going to hit things pretty hard. I think C tier is a little mean to him, but I haven't messed around with him too much to like have a definitive opinion. Now, if you thought I was mad about Diamond, I'm going to tell you guys about Seedle. Dancer units are the best units in any Fire Emblem game because they are a copy of your best unit. Pretty simple. I think Seedle is the best user of the Lucina ring because the Lucina ring fucking blows, but what it does allow you to do is do an extra chain attack. Well, they can join in chain attacks, and that's good for Seedle because they're probably going to be spending their turn every single time dancing, so they can at least contribute a little bit to damage while they're just dancing. I think dancers are better and worse than other Fire Emblem games simply because a lot of the skills are moving you super far. But then again, you gotta realize when one of your units is engaged, they only have 3, or super late game, they have 4 turns engaged. Seedle gives them a 5th turn to utilize their advantages while they're engaged. Now, if you have somebody who's using the Byleth ring, work with me here, you have so many fucking dances in one turn, okay? Let's say, you know, Fire Emblem sometimes comes down to just one giant turn doing a shit ton of work in one turn, okay? You have your best unit who's engaged doing a ton of damage. You're really relying on them. They attack, get danced. They attack again, get danced. If they're one of your units you were able to get cancer, oh my god, these 2 units are busted. And you get the Sigurd ring pretty soon after getting Seedle. He's a lot better with cancer. But if you have them canter and be in good positions, then you move your Byleth unit in, dance for Seedle, dance for your best unit who's engaged. So this one player phase, that best unit attacks again and then get danced by Seedle. Your best unit, while they're engaged, just got 4 extra turns in 1 turn to completely fuck any unit up, okay? If you have your best engaged unit have 4 turns, they're doing a crazy amount of work in that 1 turn. So Seedle being this low makes absolutely no sense. He's easily an S tier character and it's not close. I don't know how many units in this game are definite S tier locks, but Aleer and Seedle are definitely 2 units that deserve to be an S tier. So that's probably the thing that makes me the most angry on this list. But you know, lists like these are meant to bait us out and get mad at them, so we talk about them, share the links around. I definitely did that already. I shared the link to some of our friends, so, and we had a good laugh out of it. But you know, this video is all in good fun. If you disagree with some of my opinions on your favorite units, let me know why down in the comment section below, because this game is super new. I want to learn more about the game, and I'm very passionate about Fire Emblem Engage. So let me know any of your guys' opinions on any of these units that you think are interesting or you want to talk about. I will be reading every comment in this video, trust me. So even if you think it's something tiny, just let me know. I'm excited to read all things, any and everything Fire Emblem Engage, okay? If I'm at school and I'm studying, I've been watching Fire Emblem Engage streams to pick up more info. At work, I've been watching Engage streams. So love this game. I think it's super deep and diverse, and I can't wait to see, you know, and be part of the metagame progressing. So let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. But remember, I'm just a guy on the internet. My opinions don't really matter. Anyways, I'll see you guys next time. I've been JBR from JBR channel. Bye-bye.